Mic check. All praise to the Most High. Shalom, shalom, Israel. Let me get this situated. Let me get this situated. My bad, Israel. I usually do my little thing before we start. I ain't even realize I ain't do it. I'm sorry. Let me go ahead and get all this off real quick. Oh crap. You out of here? All right. Continue. Yeah. You you good though. All right, shalom out. Let me do this real quick. Yeah, I said he was good. You gotta check in. I know people online like, what the heck is going on? My bad, family. I'm doing my pre my pre-class rituals, and I done forgot to do it. Oh man! All right, we good to go. All right, Shalom Israel. All praise to the Most High. We back at it with another segment of sound doctrine. We ain't going into no nonsense tonight. We back on the Torah. We're gonna let these wicked niggas be wicked this week. Every week, Israel never ceases to amaze me, man. Some of the stupid stuff that I see, bro. I seen some earlier today, and I'm just like, it ain't even worth getting your blood pressure up. Most High gonna deal with it. So, tonight, we back on Torah. We back in the feast days. Feast of Tabernacles. Some people are keeping the Feast of Tabernacles right now, which that biblically they would be a month behind. But I believe these are, the people that kept, I want to say like New Year's or something, like toward the end of February. But this is where just a little more due diligence would help you out, right? So let's get into it. Tonight's lesson, the Feast of Tabernacles. Let's go to Proverbs chapter 4. You already know. Let's start him off.
Check. It's the book of Proverbs, chapter 4, and verse 2. For I give you good doctrine, forsake ye not my law.
The good doctrine, the good teaching, the good understanding is the law. Most High said, or Solomon in his wisdom through understanding the Most High said, I give you good doctrine. Forsake ye not my law. This is the vantage point of the Most High. I give you good doctrine. Don't forsake my law. Right? Through everything that a lot of these people strive to understand. I was talking to my brother Abaya the other day. I said it amazes me that when I sit back and I look at these people, and I look at the debates, and I look at the different classes. I ask y'all, how many of y'all, if y'all have seen any other individuals' videos or whatnot, how often do you see them actually saying, let's dive into understanding how to keep the laws of God? It's such and such gets smashed on the Gentiles. Such and such versus such and such on what is the tree of life. Such and such crushes such and such on should we keep the laws? Okay, but do we ever get into what that looks like? Do we ever get these lessons on how to follow Christ, how to truly be in submission to the Most High, it's not a thing. For whatever reason, it's not a thing. So the one thing that I truly strive to do is I want to be able to give the understanding on the laws, right? As we continue to maneuver through the various areas and aspects of the law, I want to be able to, through the Spirit of the Most High, give the understanding, which is our foundation. I give you good doctrine. Forsake ye not my law. Ecclesiastes 12:13 says, here's the conclusion. Hear the conclusion of the whole matter. Solomon gave you a whole book full of game. He said, man, hell, I done been through so much. I done learned so much. I done gained so much. I done had bread. I done had women. I done had wisdom. I done had knowledge. I done had goods. I done had servants and services. I done had it all. And he said, through all of that, one thing I found out was the only damn thing that mattered was fear God and keep his commandments. That's our foundation for everything. That's how you develop an understanding on everything. You must first understand the foundation, which is the law. So I give you good doctrine, forsake ye not my law. We don't have to touch it. 2 Timothy speaks on people deciding to have itching ears, and they will turn their ears from hearing sound doctrine, which is the law, precept upon precept, right? And they'll heap to themselves teachers having itching ears and be turned unto fables. These other different doctrines and teachings. You got all type of crazy doctrines out there these days. You know, will Yahweh Shai have kids in the kingdom? What does eternity actually mean? The new one, which we went to the dirty doctrines last week, you know, what did Bathsheba have fault in David's adultery? Is Christ in John 1:1? Is Christ the light in Genesis 1? Who the hell cares? Teach the law. But people want to hear all of these elaborate teachings and have no understanding of the thing that is pertinent to their salvation, right? So people's ears would turn from hearing these things because people want to hear new things. And that's where we are today. Exodus 31 just talks about it will be a sign between me and thee, my Sabbaths, and it shall be perpetual. Exodus 31 and 13. Let's jump straight into it. Leviticus 23. I wanted to first, you guys know I gotta preface those things first, right? Leviticus 23. Lord's will, I won't be before you too long. 34, 23 and 34.
This is the book of Leviticus, chapter 23, and verse 34.
Mm-hmm.
Speak unto the children of Israel, saying, the 15th day of this 7th month shall be the feast of tabernacles for 7 days unto the Lord.
So it says the feast of tabernacles is on the 7th month, 15th day. Read.
On the first day shall be an holy convocation.
Uh-huh.
Ye shall do no servile work therein.
Uh-huh.
7 days ye shall offer an offering made by fire unto the Lord.
Uh-huh.
On the 8th day shall be an holy convocation unto you.
The 8th day shall be an holy convocation. Come on.
And ye shall offer an offering made by fire unto the Lord. It is a solemn assembly, and ye shall do no servile work therein.
Right. So now here's the thing. Some people get this confused. The Feast of Tabernacles is 7 days. You must dwell in booths 7 days. Then you have what's called the Great Day, which is the 8th day. That is a Sabbath. So the first day of Tabernacles is a Sabbath, and the 8th day after the Feast of Tabernacles, the 7th day, would be a Sabbath, right? So it's people say it's an 8-day feast because even on the last day it's a Sabbath, but Tabernacles itself is 7 days. 7 days. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. On the 8th day, you don't have to sleep in booths, but you are rolling into a Sabbath, right? So it's a 7-day feast, the 8th day being a Sabbath. 7 days you must dwell in booths. Come on.
Verse 37. These are the feasts of the Lord, which ye shall proclaim to be holy convocations. to offer an offering made by fire unto the Lord, a burnt offering, and a meat offering, a sacrifice, and drink offerings, everything upon his day, beside the Sabbaths of the Lord, and beside your gifts, and beside all your vows, and beside all your free will offerings, which ye shall give unto the Lord.
So it says, aside from these offerings that you already give, right? We in the Disciples Academy, that's what we've been going through the different types of sacrifices, right? From Leviticus 1 to Leviticus 6. It says or Leviticus 7, outside of those sacrifices, the Feast of Tabernacles actually has sacrifices that you must give every day. Now, we're not going to read through all of it, but I will give you the scriptures. Numbers, you brothers need to go read it, but I'll reference it. Numbers chapter 29, verses 12 through 38. It will tell you, on the first day you offer this, this, this. On the second day you offer this, this, this. On the third day, all the way to the 8th day, you offer this, 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 right? So I'll just reference it in Leviticus 23. It's telling you, besides the Sabbaths of the Lord and besides your gifts. So the reason why I said that is because besides the Sabbath of the Lord, besides the offerings that you give on the Sabbaths already, besides the gifts that you give, besides all of your vows, which is you give an offering for your vows, beside your free will offerings that you give unto the Lord, right? He said, you still, even if you done gave all them offerings, you still owe an offering for the Feast of Tabernacles. Tabernacles had 7 days that you would give an offering, right? Verse 39.
Also, in the 15th day of the 7th month, when ye have gathered in the fruit of the land, ye shall keep a feast unto the Lord 7 days. On the first day shall be a Sabbath, and on the 8th day shall be a Sabbath. And ye shall take you on the first day the boughs of goodly trees, branches of palm trees, and the boughs of thick trees, and willows of the brook, and willows of the brook. And ye shall rejoice before the Lord your God 7 days.
Right. So the reason why, and we'll get to that a little later, the reason why I told you, it says, get the boughs or the branches of goodly trees, branches of palms, boughs of thick trees, willows, brooks, so on and so forth. It's telling you, you getting this stuff so you can build a tent to commemorate the Feast of Tabernacles. And we'll get that a little later in Nehemiah. Now, what I wanted to get, stay there, and I'm going to jump over real quick to Exodus 23, right? So do me a favor. Go to Deuteronomy 16. 16 and 6. I'm sorry, 16 and we're going to read 13 through 16. Deuteronomy 16, start at 13.
This is the book of Deuteronomy, chapter 16 and verse 13. Thou shalt observe the Feast of Tabernacles 7 days. After that thou have gathered in thy corn and thy wine, and thou shalt rejoice in thy feast, thou and thy son and thy daughter and thy.
So it's telling us that it's a feast, right? Bring all of this stuff in, and you will have a feast in the Feast of Tabernacles, right? Read.
And thy son and thy daughter and thy manservant and thy maidservant.
Everybody, even the heathens, your servants better be keeping these feast days, because ain't no way y'all worshiping the Lord and these heathens is just hanging out, not showing reverence to your God. Come on.
And the Levite, the stranger, and the fatherless, and the widow that are within thy gates.
Everybody, read.
7 days shalt thou keep a solemn feast unto the Lord thy God in the place which the Lord shall choose.
With a place where the Lord shall choose, read.
Because the Lord thy God shall bless thee in all thine increase, and in all the works of thine hands. Therefore thou shalt surely rejoice. 3 times in a year shall all thy males appear before the Lord thy God. 3
times shall they appear, right? Read.
In the place which he shall choose. In the feast of unleavened bread.
The feast of unleavened bread.
And in the feast of weeks.
And in the feast of weeks, also known as the feast of first fruits. Read.
And in the feast of tabernacles.
And in the feast of tabernacles. Now, go back to Leviticus 23. Read verse. But I want to jump back up real quick. 39.
Book of Leviticus, chapter 23 and verse 39. Also on the 15th day of the 7th month, when ye have gathered in the fruit of the land.
When you've gathered in the fruit, right? So watch this. I want to jump over to Exodus 23, and I'm going to start at verse 14. 3 times thou shalt keep a feast to me in a year. This is what Deuteronomy is reiterating, right? Thou shalt keep the feast of unleavened bread. Thou shalt eat unleavened bread 7 days, as I commanded thee, in the time appointed of the month Abib. For in it thou camest out from Egypt, and none shall appear before me empty. And the feast of harvest, the first fruits of thy labor, so which is the feast of first fruits, which thou hast sown in the field. And the feast of ingathering, which is in the end of the year, when thou hast gathered in thy labors, out of the field. 3 times in a year all males shall appear before the Lord. Right? So, right here in Leviticus 23, it says, and thou shalt, read 39 again.
Leviticus chapter 23 and verse 39. Also on the 15th day of the 7th month, when ye have gathered in the fruit of the land.
When you've gathered in the fruit of the land, come on.
Ye shall keep a feast unto the Lord 7 days.
That's why they call it the Feast of Ingathering. It is the end. It's not literally the end of the year. It's the end of the harvest year, because we're going into fall, then we're going into winter. And winter, essentially nothing grows. This is why during your time of plenty in the summer and in the spring, you had what was called a storehouse. So we would have things to eat in the winter, because the winter wasn't nothing growing. So they called it the end of the year, but it wasn't the literal end of the year. It was the end of the harvest year. And Abib was the beginning of the harvest year, right? So you may read this and be like, that's just the 7th month. How is it? It's talking about as it pertains to harvesting, as it pertains to farming, right? So the Feast of Ingathering was the final gathering that you was going to get, because winter was coming and essentially nothing else was growing at that point. Right, the winter is coming, right? So you shall gather in, read that from the top.
Verse 39. Also in the 15th day of the 7th month, when ye have gathered in the fruit of the land, ye shall keep a feast unto the Lord 7 days. On the first day shall be a Sabbath, and on the 8th day shall be a Sabbath.
Right.
And ye shall take you on the first day the boughs of goodly trees, branches of palm trees, and the boughs of thick trees, and willows of the brook. And ye shall rejoice before the Lord your God.
So you're going to take all of these sticks, these branches, these pieces of wood, these logs, whatever you want to call them, and you shall rejoice before the Lord 7 days, 41.
And ye shall keep it a feast unto the Lord 7 days in a year. It shall be a statute forever in your generations.
Right.
Ye shall celebrate it in the 7th month.
Come on.
Ye shall dwell in booths.
Ye shall dwell in booths. That's why some people call it the Feast of Booths as well. You shall dwell in booths, read.
7 days. All that are Israelites born shall dwell in booths. That your generations may know that I made the children of Israel to dwell in booths. When I brought them out of the land of Egypt, I am the Lord your God.
So, people be like, why the hell y'all sleeping in tents? You got a tent in your front yard, your backyard, in your house, because the Lord told us it was a memorial for us to remember that when we were in the wilderness for 40 years, he made us to dwell in booths. It's to commemorate what we went through in the wilderness. That's why we keep the Feast of Tabernacles. It said you shall get bows back then, because now we can just go to, Big Five or Amazon and purchase a tent. Back then, you had to find the sticks, and you had to probably shave the sticks down and sand them, and you had to find the right stuff to tie it up. You had to get the hide, the cow hide to leather to put on the sides, or the leaves to put on it, but you had to make a tent to be in. That's why I said grab these different goodly bows and all of that, because it was necessary for you to do these things to build the tent, right? So we saw Exodus 23, Deuteronomy 16, and also, I'm throwing it out there, 2 Chronicles 8, 12 through 13 talks about the 3 mandatory feasts as well as where it's listed, right? Now, to the point of what was being expressed, Nehemiah chapter 8. Nehemiah chapter 8, we're going to start at verse 13.
This is the book of Nehemiah, chapter 8, and verse 13. And on the second day were gathered together the chief of the fathers of all the people,
Right.
the priests and the Levites, unto Ezra the scribe, even to understand the words of the law.
So if you read a little earlier in Nehemiah chapter 8, it was talking about how Ezra was going through the law and Nehemiah was there to watch him go through the law, right? So here it says, now all the elders are there to gain the understanding as Ezra the priest or Ezra the scribe is going through the law, right? Read.
And they found written in the law which the Lord had commanded by Moses, that the children of Israel shall dwell in booths.
Wait, here's a crazy part. Read that again.
That the children,
Verse 14.
verse 14, and they found
written
in the law which the Lord had commanded by Moses.
They wouldn't even keep. They just found it. It happened so many times that we were just so disenfranchised from the law. We had to double back. They found a book, and they was understanding was given, and they would find a certain thing. Like, oh damn, we ain't been keeping. Josiah did it. They blew the dust. So it was so old. They had to blow the dust off of it and said, "What is this?" Oh damn, this is the book of our fathers. They said they read through it and they said, "Oh, we're supposed to be keeping the Passover." That's how far left we had gone. That's how far left we are now. So even in a time when we went back to Jerusalem during the Persian captivity, when they allowed us back in Jerusalem, it was a very similar situation. They are now going through the law again. Ezra's up there reading to them. It said he would read to them from the morning to midday. It's probably like 4 or 5 hours of just reading out of the Torah, right? And it said the elders in them the leaders went there to say, Ezra, let us hear from you. Read the law to us. It said he was reading, and they just found out, damn, we're supposed to be keeping the Feast of Tabernacles. It was the second day of the 7th month at this time where they just found this out. They said, no, we got 12 more days. We got to keep this, or 13 more days. We got to keep this. Oh, snap. Read on.
That the children of Israel shall dwell in booths in the feast of the 7th month, and that they should publish and proclaim in all their cities and in Jerusalem, saying, go forth unto the mount and fetch olive branches and pine branches and myrtle branches.
So remember, it said earlier, grab boughs, grab branches, and so on and so forth. What they going to do with that? Read.
And palm branches and branches of thick trees.
To do what?
To make booths.
To make booths. So that's why it was saying they were grabbing those things in Leviticus chapter 23. To make booths. To make what? Tents. They were building tents. They were building tabernacles, temporary dwellings to keep the feast day. Right? Read.
As it is written.
As it is written. Where is it written? In the law. We just read it. Come on.
So the people went forth and brought them and made themselves booths, every one upon the roof of his house.
Now watch this. Look at how they was. Look what was going on. Well, we ain't in the wilderness. What are we supposed to do? Read it again.
So the people went forth and brought them and made themselves booths.
They made them booths. Where they put it?
Every one upon the roof.
They put it up on the roof of the house. They said, hell, I got some room up here. I'll go ahead and put it up here. Come on.
Of his house, and in their courts,
and in their courts, in the park, in the main area, right? Read.
And in the courts of the house of God,
and in the courts of the house of God, where the temple was. They said, shoot, we're gonna make booths all around now. We're gonna make booths in the first layer. We know we can't go further in, but we're gonna make the booths just to be near the temple, right? Read.
And in the street of the water,
and in the streets. Hell, well, we not in the wilderness. We ain't got our own land. They was putting it on the sidewalk. They was putting it in, you got your lawn, you got the sidewalk and that little patch right there before the street. They were putting it right there. They was doing like the homeless people in Hawthorne and put it right there on the island on Hawthorne Boulevard. They said, we gonna find somewhere to put this tent. Backyard, roof, room, streets, inside the temple gate, the first layer of the temple gate, outside the temple, in the middle of the street. It didn't matter. We about to put this up and keep these laws. Read on.
Of the water gate, and in the street of the gate of Ephraim.
And in the streets of the gate of Ephraim. Come on.
And all the congregation of them that were come again out of the captivity made booths.
Everybody made booths. Come on.
And sat under the booths.
And sat under the booths. Read.
For since the days of Jeshua.
That's crazy. Since the days of Jeshua. Read.
The son of Nun, until the day had not the children of Israel done so.
All of that time, from Joshua till then, they hadn't been keeping the Feast of Tabernacles. Since Joshua died, and then it was Judges. You read all through Judges, the Philistines, Samson, Deborah, Ehud, all of the captivities that we had in Judges. After Joshua died, they had not kept tabernacle again. And they just figured it out. Like 1,000 years later, they realized they were supposed to be keeping it. Think about that. Nehemiah is 400 AD. Mid to early, or I guess technically late, going closer to AD. Excuse me, 400 BC, going closer to 400 AD, right? Or excuse me, going closer to AD. So it's like, I forget, it's like 460, 450, somewhere in that window. King David was around 900 BC. So we talking about 1,000. We talking about 600 or 700. No, it might be longer than that. I got to see how long the captivity of the judges was, or how long was that process. But we're looking at like 600 or 700 years. We was not keeping tabernacles. Like 600 or 700 years. And the crazier part is, because we wasn't keeping Passover for a time either. Then finally we got to Josiah, and we was keeping the Passover. That's crazy. So there was a certain amount of time. It said they hadn't kept the Feast of Tabernacles since Joshua, right? It says, and there was very great gladness. Verse 18.
Also day by day, from the first day until the last day, he read in the book of the law of God.
Every single day they was reading Torah. It wasn't, oh man, we chilling. Oh, we just trying to, fellowship. Oh man, we was just trying to party and drink. Every day they was reading the Bible. Read.
And they kept the feast 7 days.
And they kept the feast 7 days.
And on the 8th day was a solemn assembly, according unto the manner.
According unto the manner. Like the scripture said, it must be done. Right? Book of John, chapter 7. Watch this. The severity, like understanding how severe this was, right? The book of John, chapter 7. Start at verse 1. We're going to read down to 10.
This is the book of John, chapter 7 and verse 1.
We almost done.
After these things, Jesus walked into Galilee, for he would not walk in Jewry, because the Jews sought to kill him.
It says, so after this, Christ had to walk through Galilee, because he couldn't walk in Jewry. He couldn't be in Jerusalem. He couldn't go down to Jerusalem where they was practicing Jewry, where the Pharisees and Sadducees was, because them niggas was trying to kill him. Wasn't nothing new, so he had to duck off, right? Read.
Now the Jews' feast of tabernacles was at hand.
The tabernacles was coming up. Well, you got to be in Jerusalem for tabernacles, but he way up in Galilee. Read.
His brethren therefore said unto him, Depart hence and go into Judea, that thy disciples also may see the works that thou doest.
It said, hey, Christ, you got to go to Judea, right? Come on, it's time to go to Jerusalem. Time to go down to Judah, right? Read.
For there is no man that doeth anything in secret, and he himself seeketh to be known openly. Mm-hmm. If thou do these things, shew thyself to the world.
He said, this is the time for you to show yourself to the world. All Israel going to be down there. Read.
For neither did his brethren believe in him.
For his brothers were not, his actual brothers did not believe in him. That's why the scriptures talk about, I want to say it's in John 2. He says a prophet is loved or accepted or appreciated everywhere but in his own home. His own brothers is like, nigga, this Yahushua. It's kind of like when Joseph said, I had a dream. And his brothers was like, hold up. All right, Joseph. All right, dreamer boy, we got something for you. So through everything Christ did, his brothers didn't even believe him. They're like, listen, nigga, hey, you still walking around? Them niggas still following you? You still going around saying you the Messiah? Ah, yeah, you stupid, bro. You stupid, big bro. You stupid. And he still was on his mission, right? Free.
Then Jesus said unto them, my time is not yet come.
It ain't time for me to show myself. Come on.
But your time is always ready.
Come on.
The world cannot hate you, but me it hateth, because I testify of it, that the works thereof are evil.
So now here's the thing. Christ said they hate me because I'm calling them out on their BS. And that's where we always talk about that. Israel, can't we just get along? And can't we just no. Because you niggas are evil. Christ said it himself. They hate me because I'm calling them out. When you wicked, you doing wrong, you're not abiding in the law, you bending the law, you making excuses to break the law, I'm going to call you out on it. And you're probably not going to like me because you want to be evil. And I'm not going to allow that. That's why they was trying to kill Christ, because Christ stood on business. Read.
Go ye up unto this feast. I go not up yet unto this feast, for my time is not yet full come.
Y'all know Tabernacles coming. Get down to Judea. I ain't going just yet. Right? Read.
When he had said these words unto them, he abode still in Galilee.
In Galilee.
Galilee.
So he's still ducked off in Galilee, and he said, hey, y'all need to go down there. They're like, yeah, you need to come too. He's like, I ain't coming yet, but I'll be there. Don't worry about it. So it said he sent them down, and he was still up in Galilee, right? Verse 10.
But when his brethren were gone up,
So now when his brothers went, read.
then went he also up unto the feast.
Then he went to the feast, read.
Not openly,
Come on.
but as it were in secret.
So Christ, knowing people was trying to kill him, said, I still got to go obey the Most High God. I still got to go worship the Most High God and make it to Jerusalem, even though these devils is trying to kill me. And you got grown Israelite men out here talking about, well, we in captivity, so, if I don't go to work, I don't get paid. If I miss too many days, they're going to fire me. If I don't go to work, they're going to fire me. I could show you a number of scriptures where people was willing to lose their life. You talking about you riding for the Most High, you ain't even willing to lose your job? Nigga, you ain't willing to lose your life. I can guarantee you that. If you ain't willing to lose your job, you ain't willing to lose your life for the Most High. I can promise you that. But Christ said, it ain't my time yet, but I do. Because if Christ didn't keep that law, he's no longer the lamb without blemish. So he said, I got to get down there. I got to keep that feast. So he ended up ducking off and going down there, showing you how important it was to keep these feasts. Zechariah 14. I'll show you something. The book of Zechariah. Chapter 14. We're going to start at 13.
This is the book of Zechariah, chapter 14 and verse 13.
Come on.
And it shall come to pass in that day that a great tumult from the Lord shall be among them. And they shall lay hold every one on the hand of his neighbor, and his hand shall rise up against the hand of his neighbor.
Come on.
And Judah also shall fight at Jerusalem.
Read.
And the wealth of all the heathen round about shall be gathered together, gold and silver and apparel in great abundance.
Right. So the heathen are going to be ravished. The heathen are going to be overcome. Right. Read.
And so shall be the plague of the horse, of the mule, of the camel, of the ass, and of all the beasts that shall be in these tents as this plague.
Right. Read.
And it shall come to pass that every one that is left of all the nations which came against Jerusalem shall even go up from year
So
to
after we've conquered them, and now they're subservient to us, it says, and it shall come to pass that everyone that is left of all the nations that came against Jerusalem shall go up, read.
from year to year
Every single year, read.
to worship the king.
Because either they do that or they die. Come on.
the Lord of hosts,
Read.
and to keep the feast of tabernacles.
You're supposed to work. This how you know it's in the kingdom. It said they're going to go to worship the King and the Lord, Yahweh of hosts, and keep the feast of tabernacles. Read.
And it shall be that whosoever will not come up of all the families of the earth unto Jerusalem to worship the King, the Lord of the host, even upon them shall be no rain.
So in this particular time, if you decide, he's the point that he's making is everyone's going to come, because those that don't come, they're going to be hit with a plague, a drought. There's not going to be any rain upon your crops. People may be like, well, so what? What does that mean? That's because you guys are used to things being manufactured in the lab. Back then, no rain meant no food. No food meant we starve. If we starve, we all die.
Right.
That was the point. He said, you ain't gonna be no rain on your land if you don't come up to worship me. I'm gonna judge you and plague your city, plague your field, plague your crops. Right? Read on.
Verse 18, and if the family of Egypt go not up and come not, that have no rain, there shall be the plague, wherewith the Lord will smite the heathen that come not up to keep the feast of tabernacles.
So if you ain't keeping the feast of tabernacles, you gonna get smitten. You gonna get beaten. You gonna get plagued. You gonna get judged. Read.
This shall be the punishment of Egypt, the punishment of all nations that come not up to keep the feast of tabernacles.
So even in the kingdom, even in the end times, even after we have taken over all the nations, the rule will still be your ass keeping these feast days. You better be keeping these feast days, because if you ain't keeping these feast days, I'm going to plague you. I'm going to destroy you. That is the Most High's word, right? So, like I said, I wasn't going to be before you too long. All praise to the Most High. About a 45-minute lesson. Getting straight to it with Tabernacles. So, the Feast of Tabernacles, also called the Feast of Booths, also called the Feast of Ingathering, is to commemorate the Most High making us dwell in booths in the wilderness when he pulled us out of or saved us out of the land of Egypt, right? It's on the 15th day of the 7th month. Feast of Tabernacles is how many days? You see how that's so second nature. Feast of Tabernacles is 7 days, but there's a Sabbath on the first day and there's a Sabbath on the 8th day, right? There's a sacrifice, a specific type of sacrifice that we are to do. Again, Numbers 29 goes into it. On the first day, you sacrifice, boom, 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 boom. On the second day, all the way down. And this didn't include the free will, goodwill offerings, any of the offerings that we were already giving, the offerings we give on the Sabbath, none of that mattered. They said you also got these Feast of Booth offerings that you must give up as well, right? So it's very important because it's not super complex, but it's still foundational to our faith to understand why it is we do what we do, to understand how severe it was. Ezra and them, if it wasn't severe, Ezra could have been like, well, we ain't been doing it this long. It's cool. He understood, like, dang, we've been slacking. Hey, we got to get this right. We got to get back to the feast of the Lord, because the Sabbaths, the feast days of the Lord, said the Sabbaths are a sign between us and the Lord that we are his people. That's why it blows my mind when people be like, oh, the Sabbath, we ain't got to, we in captivity. Huh? The Lord said it's a sign that you my people. So if I got to tell my job, look, it's the Sabbath, I'm not coming. It's the Sabbath. I know you can't schedule me for that day. It's the Sabbath. I will not be here because the Most High told me so. It's not, we in captivity, so we got to do it. I can show you a list of times people were willing to die rather than to break the law. These are laws people use as, we in captivity, so it's not, we got to go ahead and agree with thine oppressor quickly, agree with thine adversary quickly. No. Not when it contradicts the Lord and his commandments. These feast days are mandatory. This is foundation. This is pivotal to your foundation, which is essentially what helps to build up your faith. I was having a conversation earlier. I was like, look, the more you desire to keep the Torah, the stronger your wisdom becomes. The more your wisdom grows, the stronger your wisdom becomes, the stronger your faith and your foundation becomes. That's why I see so many people with all this knowledge in the Bible still not afraid to break the law. So many people with all this knowledge and information on history and prophecies, and they still fall out of the faith. It's because their wisdom, their understanding, their faith is lacking because they have no foundation. So though this isn't the fun, powerful messages that, I had to woo you to give you something new, you can never stop learning the law. You can never stop studying the Torah, studying the law to gain a stronger understanding, which will then give you a stronger understanding on everything else, right? So all praise to the Most High. Tonight wasn't too long of a lesson. We're going over the feast days, so it's very few that actually take that long. Passover might have been the longest one. Maybe Memorial Assignment, that was a long one. But outside of that, well, I guess when we start getting into Nicanor, that won't be too long either. Nicanor, maybe Purim. Not even dedication, right? So these feast days is kind of straight to the point. It's to give you an understanding of what we call the ceremonial facet of the law, ceremonial aspects of the law, right? Which are the feast days, understanding them, right? With that being said, you already know my spiel every first Monday, Q&A. Every Monday after that, our Spanish class, Los Discípulos de la Palabra. Every Tuesday, Bible Basics. Every Wednesday, World History. Every second and fourth Thursday, Stick to the Script. Every Friday, the Blue Strip at 5:30 p.m. Pacific, followed by 7:30 p.m. Room 144, Pacific Standard Time, of course. And at 9:45, usually around like 9:50, Salakia, y'all. 9:45 p.m. Pacific, we have my segment, Sound Doctrine. Y'all be sure to tap in, of course, on Saturday for our closing Sabbath classes. Bishop Yaziquel, War for the Kingdom, and Bishop Tazayuan's Feed the Sheep. We continue to do this work. We continue to do this for you guys to build you guys' mind, your spirits, your faith up. We try to give you this daily bread religiously so that way your foundation can be solid, right? Your doctrine and your understanding can be sound. So be sure to share it so other brothers and sisters can gain some knowledge and some understanding. If you haven't subscribed yet, of course, subscribe to the channel. If you are looking to get boots down in your state, in your country, and on your continent, hit us up. Reach us at truenation.org. If you want to inquire about being a part of the True Nation family, reach us at truenation.org. If you want to contribute to the ministry as we continue to do this work for the Most High, as they contributed in the book of Acts, truenation.org/donate. All praise to the Most High Israel. We appreciate y'all for tapping in. Lord's will, y'all continue to tap in as we continue to try to feed you guys, feed the sheep, strengthen y'all spirits, y'all foundations, y'all souls, as we continue to try to get about this hellhole. It's been another segment of Sound Doctrine with my brother Hezron and myself. We love y'all, Israel. Shalom.
If it wasn't for the Most High who was on my side, man, ain't no telling where I'd be. Mr. Wilson would've known. Can't nobody tell me nothing different. The Father's been good to me. So good to me. Yeah. Wave your hands if you feel me. I'm a witness. Yahweh's been good to me. So good to me. Every morning that I rise, I thank Yahweh that I'm living. Keep my enemies at bay and never leave without my fringes. 1611 with me cause I'm